Welcome to Sikhcast, brought to you by Sikh Research Institute, illuminating every path.
Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. My name is Param Singh, and I am an English commentary writer for the Granth Sahib project. We are excited to announce the release of the Babarvani compositions, 4 compositions of Guru Nanak Sahib, each of which describes Babur's 16th century invasion of South Asia. This is the invasion that overthrew the Lodi Sultanate to establish the Mughal Empire and installed Babur as the first Mughal emperor. These compositions are fascinating for so many reasons. They give eyewitness accounts of an historic event. They make the chaos and suffering that came with Babur's invasion palpable. When you're reading them or listening to them, it doesn't feel like these are events that happened hundreds of years ago. It feels like they're happening right now and you're there. And that makes sense because these compositions are more than historical reportage. These compositions are Bani, meaning they speak the eternal truth, meaning they're speaking to us right now. And so they're not just speaking about something that happened in the past, they're speaking about the violent power struggles that are occurring now, and they're speaking about the injustices that are occurring now. By setting these compositions around Babur's invasion, it shows Guru Nanak Sahib's poise, bravery, and awe at the Creator. And it shows that these persist through extreme situations of violence and social upheaval, and that underscores the permanence of the truth. While the 4 compositions are popularly grouped under a single name, Babarvani, each is a separate composition unto itself with its own point of emphasis. The composition I want to highlight here is the 4th Babarvani composition. This composition of 2 stanzas begins by describing Babur's invasion in the extended metaphor of a wedding party of sin. I find the images in this composition to be particularly striking and evocative. Here, the suffering and violence isn't just tragic, it's nightmarish. Guru Nanak Sahib says, "Sense of shame and righteousness have both stood in hiding. Falsehood is roaming around, having become the chief, O Lalo." That's a nightmarish idea. The idea that falsehood may have overthrown righteousness. And you can imagine the hopelessness and despair you might feel in that kind of situation. Guru Nanak Sahib says, "The talk and role of Qazis and Brahmins has worn off. Satan is reading the Nikah, O Lalo." Qazis and Brahmins, people who were empowered in the normal social order and who you might turn to for stability, are now powerless. And metaphorically, Satan, to Muslims the ultimate enemy of goodness, is actually running the religious rituals. Against that picture of utter despair, the 2nd stanza begins with, "Nanak sings the virtues of the sovereign in the town filled with corpses, utters this statement and proposition." There's so much in this line. Guru Nanak Sahib is showing us how to keep one's mind on the sovereign through even the most difficult and frightening time. Guru Nanak Sahib is also modeling fearlessness in this line and through the rest of the stanza. The Guru is proclaiming this truth while the bodies are still on the ground. He's not waiting for a safer time to say what needs to be said. Guru Nanak Sahib says, "Nanak proclaims the speech of truth. In the moment of truth, Nanak will proclaim only the truth." Another great line. This is an interesting example of the Sikh principle of miri piri, and it's particularly interesting because it's usually something that we associate with the 6th Guru, Guru Har Gobind Sahib. But here, Guru Nanak Sahib is exemplifying this. Guru Nanak Sahib is exemplifying the piri by keeping his consciousness absorbed in the sovereign at all times, and is exemplifying the miri by not standing by silently while injustices are perpetrated. Another reason I wanted to highlight this composition is the overt use of literary devices. For me, that poetic repetition of "O Lalo" and the extended metaphor in the 1st stanza, it reminds me of what Bani is. And I think I often need reminding. And what I mean by that is, it reminds me that Bani is not an essay to be picked apart. It's song and poetry to be experienced physically. So you experience it, and you experience it again, and you experience it again, and you experience it again, and you let the experience work on you in that way. And I think that's a really good thing to remember as we're getting to know any piece of Bani. So I hope you spend some time with these compositions, read the translations, transcreations, commentaries, word meanings, and other materials. I also hope you interact with the Banis directly to experience Guru Nanak Sahib's words. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Read the translations and commentaries at gurugranthsahib.io.
You are listening to Sikhcast by Sikh Research Institute, illuminating every path.